Unity and division are two concepts that are seen very frequently throughout stories of heroism and war. A hero who fights alone is stronger due to the allies that surround them. Wars are the cause of disunity between nations clashing with their different ideals and sentiments. Through division there is chaos and weakness, and through unity there is peace and strength. Only when two are joined together as one can a power that can never be matched be found, and no story is a better example of this than that of the Red and Blue Rider, the hero known as Kamen Rider Build. It's no coincidence that the story of Kamen Rider Build takes place within a world divided. The three nations of Seto, Toto, and Hokuto were divided due to the power of the Martian relic known as the Pandora Box, and it is that power that each nation craves and causes them to further divide. The sky wall that splits the nation of Japan into three are merely physical manifestations of the division caused by the struggle for power. Each of the three nations separated by the sky wall are operating by three different governmental principles, each at odds with one another. While all of them are doing so for the sake of their nation, they are doing so at the expense of others who do not align with their principles. Rather than work together to solve the crisis of the sky walls, they instead seek the power of the Pandora Box to achieve their goals, even if it means the destruction of the other two nations and their people. With no one else to defend the people who were subjected to the selfish battle of the three nations' leaders, it became the duty of the Kamen Rider to come to their aid. Kiryu Sento, who donned the mantle of Kamen Rider Build, did so on his own. With no recollection of who he was, he sought to defend the people with the power of the full bottles that created the monsters known as Smash. He alone was the only person who would come to the people's aid, for the Kamen Rider is the sole light against the darkness. Kamen Rider Build, even from his design, is a representation of the unity that opposes division. Like Kamen Rider Dabaru, his suit is comprised of two sides, one blue and one red. But these two sides, unlike Dabaru, are intertwined, crossing over the body. His power is to take two different full bottles, one organic and one inorganic, merging together to create the perfect combos known as best matches. Despite this, for the first year of his career as the Kamen Rider, Sento was alone. He fought alone because the Kamen Rider must stand alone. So Sento thought, until he met Banjou Ryuga. Banjou Ryuga, who had his life taken from him, met Sento after escaping from a Faust facility. Sento, against his better judgment, took Banjou to Nasita, where they would eventually work together to find out the secrets of Faust. But Banjou wanted to work on his own, to fight with his own power and save others for Sento's sake. Sento, who believes that a Kamen Rider must fight alone, doesn't want anyone else to be put in harm's way. He constantly tries to prevent Banjou from fighting because he wants to keep him from harm, hiding behind his arrogant face that he puts up. Yet time and time again, Banjou fights, no matter how much Sento doesn't want him to. So Sento eventually concedes and creates the Cross Dragon to protect him. Yet when Sento can't fight, it's ultimately Banjou who combines the power of the Dragon Full Bottle that was the will of his girlfriend, who he couldn't save, and the Cross Dragon that Sento built to protect him, to become Kamen Rider Cross. Though they fight side by side, both Sento and Banjou keep fighting in order to save and protect the other, and thus are not fighting in unity. That disunity is what causes their conflicts throughout the series, and is what they must overcome to face the enemies that lie before them. Enemies who challenge this idea of unity. Sabatari Kazumi, unlike Sento and Banjou, threw away his past willingly to protect his friends. He valued his farm and his friends in Hokuto so much that even when the three still followed after him, he pretended not to remember them so that he wouldn't have to regret their deaths. He became Kamen Rider Grease for the sake of his people. Because of this, he was initially stronger than Banjou with the Splash Driver and Sento with Rabbit Tank Sparkling. The Splash Driver, which unlike the Build Driver uses only one jelly, is for the rider who stands alone. Yet Kazumi was unable to shed his friends, his bonds, no matter how much he tried, and ultimately was forced to separate from them one by one as he watched them die. Kazumi, no matter how much he wished so, could only succeed if he fought with others, and was only able to move forward when he fought with Sento and Banjou to fight against Evault. He ultimately was forced to concede to those relationships, using the Dragon Jelly to become even stronger, and was able to survive despite coming close to death because he had others by his side who would regret his death. And ultimately, when the final battle came, he embraced the relationships he once cast away to reach a level of strength he needed to defeat his enemies. His final battle with the Blizzard Knuckle given to him by Sento was to defend the world with his idol to his back, and the power of the Hokuto Three Crows within him. With the passion burning in his heart, he finally slayed the demons of his past, finally able to receive attention from the idol that him and his friends loved, with a smile on his face as he faded away. A Kamen Rider must fight alone, a sentiment believed by those who sought to use its power to achieve their goals. Though their ideals were selfless, they did so on their own. But unlike Kazumi, who couldn't throw away his past, his bonds, there was someone who succeeded in doing so. And casting aside who he once was, Himuro Gentoku became something stronger than he could have possibly imagined. Kamen Rider Rogue was the name of the rider who threw away his past, his self, in order to achieve his goals. Before becoming a Kamen Rider, he was merely Rogue. He commanded Faust in order to defend Toto and become the strongest country of the three. However, he did so without consulting his father, the Prime Minister, and was ultimately cast out for his transgressions. His actions were at the expense of the people to achieve the goal of bringing the country as a whole to greater heights. Though his actions were for the people, he did so against their wishes, for his own ambitions, for the sake of his father, yet against his wishes. Yet he was defeated by Kamen Rider Build, who fought for the people. To become stronger, he would have to cast aside all that held him back. He would have to become a lone hero. Kamen Rider Rogue had no attachments, nothing to hold him down. He was humiliated and forced to throw away his pride. All that remained was his goal. He would change this world at all costs and with his own power. That power momentarily made him stronger than the other three, yet time and time again Sento rose to his challenge. Time and time again, Kamen Rider Build defeated Kamen Rider Rogue, and ultimately, it was Kiryu Sento who still had his allies by his side, and it was Himuro Gentoku who lost everything, even his ambition to save his country for the sake of his father. But when allied with Sento and the rest of Team Build, Gentoku learns what true strength is. Through unity, he was able to achieve victory, and as the people of the country called out his name, he understood. The leader that he wants to be is not what a real leader is, the leader that his father was. A real leader fights not at the expense of the people, but together with them in order to advance the country. His final breath was spent in order to deliver a blow to Evolt that would light the way for Build's victory, not at the expense of anyone else, but together with them. Unity is how the characters succeed in Kamen Rider Build, and it is disunity that drives them to failure. Throughout this series, it is when the riders attempt to fight on their own with their own power, with their own goals in mind, that they fail. Sento and Banjo's pride pushes them to fight on their own against the wishes of the other. The failure of the Slash driver from Banjo was his insistence to do so on his own, to be able to protect Sento, yet Sento refused to let him get hurt, turning to the hazard trigger to gain the power to do so. Sento, who was brought down by his past that he did not know, constantly fought against the shadow of Katsuragi Takumi. His actions caused so many people harm in search for his goals as a scientist, but Sento didn't have Takumi's memories, and only shouldered his sins. Every invention that he developed was to complete the work of Katsuragi, the hazard switch included, the one thing Katsuragi could not figure out. The switch that raised one's hazard levels and caused all those who used it to face the threat of death, and turned Sento himself into a monster that would destroy all those in his path. But in his search to defeat Rogue, he decided that the only way was to surpass him, combining the cursed hazard trigger that even Katsuragi couldn't solve with an invention of his own. The full rabbit tank bottle was an invention that belonged solely to Kiryu Sento. Combined with the hazard switch that Katsuragi could not solve and could only see as a weapon of war, Sento was able to surpass him and defeat Kamen Rider Rogue. To defy who Katsuragi was and to bring light from the darkness and to do what Katsuragi was incapable of, working with others. But there was one last threat to humanity, one who stood in the way of their goal, for it was he who brought separation to this world and tore it apart, and he stood completely alone. No ties, no relationships, because for Evolt, all others were tools to be used at his disposal. Tools to be used by Kamen Rider Evolt. Evolt is the corruption of the ideals that Build strives for. He has no connections, no one to fight for except himself. His power is to consume and he takes away from all others. It's his actions that took away Sento's memory. It was Evolt that ruined Banjo's life. It was Evolt who took away Misora's father. Evolt is the one at the cause of it all, like a black hole sucking everything around him, and it is he whose power is above all others. He is disunity, and he stands alone. His actions crushed the country that now stood without a leader. Toto and Hokuto had been defeated, with only Sento standing, proclaiming itself as this one sole power. The war that had taken place for control of the country had been won by Kamen Rider Evil. A Kamen Rider must stand alone, and Evil did so masterfully. He manipulated the actions of Mad Rogue, destroyed the government of Toto, and had everyone dancing in the palm of his hands. People were mere amusement to him, worthless, dumb monkeys to dance for his amusement. Yet it was still the Kamen Riders who opposed him. Banjou, who held Evol's power within him, used that power to fight for his friends, who believed in him despite who he was, to become Kamen Rider Cross Magma. All of them together fought against Evil, though they were still unable to fight on a united front and thus were constantly defeated. They were fighting for the sake of each other but not with each other. Though they were physically by each other's sides, they were not unified in their goals. Each of them wanted something different in their goal to defeat Evil, yet each of these goals were at odds with one another because each of them were at the expense of themselves rather than those made with cooperation in mind. For Sento to defeat Evil, he would have to embrace his past, to embrace Katsuragi Takumi, who he refused to be. Katsuragi was incapable of working with others and was unable to stop Evil when he had the chance. Though his work was for the betterment of humanity, it was at humanity's expense, but Sento was different. He worked with others, he was able to let them protect him when he needed to. To become stronger, Katsuragi and Sento must unite, to become one consciousness to move forward, to truly become the genius known as Build. When their goals were aligned, Team Build finally worked together to score defeat against Evil. When they were united not just physically but also in their goals, they were able to succeed against their enemy. Even though they were physically apart during the final battle against Evil, their goals and their convictions were aligned, unified despite separation. Despite the threat of death, they had one last mission: defeat Evil using the hazard switch that Katsuragi couldn't solve and the Pandora box that separated the country with the skywall to create a miracle. Banjou, who held Evol's power within him, and Sento, who found the truth in the Rider system, combined their power to defeat Evil and create a new world. This new world was the culmination of these principles. The goal was not to make some kind of conjoined Earth with elements of both, it was to create a new world. Two Earths that combined to create a world where Evil, the symbol of disunity, no longer existed. Just like how when Katsuragi conceded to Sento, the mind they created was a new one, and just like how their combined efforts created the genius bottle, that was the key to creating this world. In this new world, only a united Japan remained, with only Kiryu Sento and Banjou Ryuga remaining, the two who were united together as one best match. Hell yeah, Tokusatsu videos, haha! Yeah, this is another video in the 12 days of anime. This one was edited by my good friend Craftsdwarf. Y'all know Craftsdwarf. I snapped his neck and now he's editing videos from the grave. He made a very spicy video recently, so you should check that out. I'd like to now thank my patrons, namely people like Flutterrod Butt, The Pretentious One, Chandler Makes Video, Numanji, and Chesmix. If you want updates on new videos that are coming out, you can follow me on Twitter or check me out on my Discord. Or if you don't want to patron me, you can also donate to my coffee. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.